Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? Welcome back to Hollywood After Dark for the 9th of December, 2020. My name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome to the show, the podcast that has probably a more erratic release schedule at this point than any Marvel movies in 2020, I admit. However, I'm going to get back on the horse because there's always things to talk about. Today, we got a lot to break down. Deathstroke himself, Joe Manganiello, if I can say that correctly. I'm going to try to say that correctly. Breaking down what the Ben Affleck's Batman was going to be, and what potentially we could expect from the newly restored and newly made post-credit scene for the Snyder Cut coming out early in 2021. Of course, we've also got the writers and directors of Ready or Not back with another movie together. A little bit of info on that. The RedBox streaming service is back. They've done this once before, but now they're back with a new approach to it, and it should be pretty interesting, so we're going to talk about that. Neill Blomkamp, director of Chappie, District 9, and Elysium, apparently shot a movie. Very secret, covert project while in shutdown. And the big news of the day, really, Alfred Molina, Doc Ock, spotted on the set of Spider-Man 3, fueling the rumors and asking the question, is Tom Holland even in the movie anymore? So all of these things we're going to talk about and probably a little bit more here on the podcast today. But first things first, if you guys haven't already and you want to support the show, you want to support the channel, and I hope you would become a channel member, get your name up on the board of channel members here for Hollywood After Dark: Gino, Master of None, Garguts, The Gaming Godfather, Vince Batchelor, Awesome Cat, Gerald Johnson, my own personal father, which shows you how nepotism works, Dave Jarbo, and Lovely Day Today. Thank you guys very much for your continued support of the channel. I really appreciate it, especially as we finally exit 2020 and we finally start making our way into 2021. I do think that there are going to be bright skies ahead of us. Now, one of the things that this channel is going to be doing, probably ending of the year, beginning of next year, is definitely a lot of the more positive coverage. I want to do more videos like I did yesterday talking about why I love movies. Like I talked about Cloverfield because it just so happened to be the first movie that I saw that I had sitting out. And I was like, oh yeah, I love this movie. I'm gonna talk about it, you know? And even I made a little bit of a joke in the video where I hummed the score, Michael Giacchino's score, and I clipped it out and I put it on Twitter and I tagged him in it, and he actually watched it and he liked my rendition. So that was my nerd geeky moment of the day. But I want to do more things like that. Get into the conversation, maybe set up live stream discussions where we talk about a specific movie, as well as Podio commentary breakdowns. I'm just waiting for my co-host to get through the holidays because he's working 2 jobs. I'm working 2 jobs. It's very difficult to get everyone together on the same timeline. And I also want to do, and I'm just running this idea out there. So before we get into the news, I know I'm kind of like burying the leads a little bit, but I'm thinking about like ways to discuss movies in a way that's more informational. Like, how do you do that at this point? I keep running through these different scenarios. So if you've thought about that or anything you might find interesting, definitely let me know in the comment section, because that's something I'd like to kind of build together. I want to build this channel in 2021 because movies I love. Talking about movies I love. Being angry is not something I want to be. And there's been too many outside influences in the last couple months that have kind of derailed me on this channel. If you know about my other content, you might know about that. Some stuff is good, some stuff is toxic. I have to start moving away. So that's where I find myself right now. So why don't we dive in to the more interesting news of the day, what I've been able to put together. And a lot of this, by the way, comes from submissions to the Facebook group. That's facebook.com/groups/ $3 Theater. And a lot of these are coming in from people who are supporting the channel and supporting the group by posting news that might slip through the cracks that I might not see. So that's something else you may want to look into. So what we know is Joe Manganiello is revealing some new details on Ben Affleck's Batman movie. Now, this is something that, coming off of BVS, so many people wanted to see. When we got that little tease of Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke in the armor and what it would look like, it coming off of Affleck winning Best Picture for Argo and everything. This is absolutely something that I think people were dying for. And and I think because of the upset of Warner Brothers at the time, it just kind of deflated it. So Joe here, talking with Yahoo, brought up a little bit about this. And he actually teased that the movie had strong David Fincher vibes by saying there were similarities to the game. Now, if you haven't seen the game, you're missing out. It's Michael Douglas, Deborah Kara Unger. Yeah, I know. I'm mentioning Deborah Kara Unger. If you don't know that name, she was not big in the 90s. But I mean, honest to God, the last thing I think I saw her in was like White Noise with Michael Keaton from like 2003 or something. But she had a lot of roles back in the day. And she played the co-star in the game. Anyway, Sean Penn's also in it, but he isn't in it that much. But the movie is a cat and mouse sort of thing. Michael Douglas's life gets destroyed. He's trying to understand what's going on, who's dismantling his existence, and also get to the end of this game, so to speak. And that's what he's referring to. It's one of Fincher's better movies. It came out prior to Fight Club. It's really good. I really recommend it. But this is what he says. He says that the original pitch would have found Deathstroke systematically destroying Bruce Wayne's life piece by piece, saying it was a really dark story in which Deathstroke was like a shark or a horror movie villain that was dismantling Bruce's life from the inside out. It was this systemic thing. He killed everyone close to Bruce and destroyed his life to try and make him suffer because he felt that Bruce was responsible for something that happened to him. Now, that's interesting to me because he's saying Bruce, not Batman. So it's something with Wayne, with Wayne Company, with Wayne Tech or Wayne Aerospace or whatever, Wayne Enterprises. Like it's going to be something with that. Because he's going to put it on Bruce and then it's going to be up to Batman to fight him. I think that's going to be pretty dope. Now, he also said that Zack Snyder's original post-credit scene for Justice League was setting this thing up. At the end of it, it had Deathstroke discussing with Lex Luthor what to do with the Dark Knight. When Joss Whedon was brought on board, the scene was reworked to set up Justice League 2 instead. Now, look, I will say this. The post-credit tease on Justice League, I actually enjoyed. And if they would have followed, that route, it could have been something interesting. But this particular, little change, it's more exciting. This is actually what Joe says himself. He says they reshot all of Jesse's dialogue to tease Justice League Part 2, which was going to be about the Injustice League. All of that dialogue about Batman, all of that dialogue was originally about Batman, but it was changed to lines like, shouldn't we have a league of our own? Which you might think to yourself, okay, is this like a little bit too much? Are they putting too much emphasis on this? Are they putting too, much emphasis on the Injustice League at the end of that movie? Should there be, like how much stuff are they setting up with the whole, Steppenwolf Darkseid thing? I'm not too sure. That whole movie has had a bit of a mess. And maybe one day when I mentioned beforehand, doing maybe history breakdowns of something, I might do Justice League as the first one and talk about its history. That could be something fascinating, just as a bit of a podcast. So, the thing is so when it comes to Joe coming back to do this new one, apparently Snyder hit him up. It's like, hey man, you want to come back and do it? We're going to fly out the armor from England. Is there anything you really want to do with it? And he's all like, yeah, I want to have a mohawk, which is why we've seen Joe with the mohawk recently, meaning that they already went and shot reshot that post-credit tease, or at least shot an insert to put in that post-credit tease. So then the question becomes here, guys, why? Why are they going to do it? Why are they going to put in this post-credit tease unless Affleck is signing back on to play Batman, whether or not this is actually going to go forward on HBO Max? Now, given everything right now with HBO Max and Warner Media and pissing off the entirety of Hollywood, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? I mean, anything could really happen at this point, but they're going to rely heavily on IPs that they can control because those IPs, if they're good enough, are going to bring in subscribers. So all things considered, that's where we find ourselves. I am so jazzed if this story goes forward. I think that Ben Affleck as Batman is what we need to have right now on HBO Max. Put Pattinson in the big screen. Fine. Do your multiple Batman thing. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I've been open about this. I'm not the biggest fan of it. But at the same time, I'll take Pattinson. Because I love Matt Reeves, and I'll take Ben Affleck as Batman because I love Ben Affleck as Batman. And then I guess we all get what we want. I guess if that's the case, then that's the case. I'm still not big on the multiverse thing. which I'm going to talk about that when we get to the Doc Ock section. Anyway, let's move on to talk real quickly about RedBox and this new free on-demand movie streaming service. So this is crazy because a couple years ago, RedBox did attempt to get into the movie streaming game. They wanted to take on Netflix. They'd already effectively taken over Blockbuster and home movie stores and Hollywood Video, whatever, by having these kiosks go everywhere. But they wanted to find a way to go into the subscription-based service, and it just kind of fell apart. So this is what we know here is that right now they're going to be getting ready to launch this free on-demand ad-supported service. By the way, it's going to be ad-supported, hosted by the company that's going to feature titles, and this is from what they said, that are curated to the tastes of RedBox audiences, that the free on-demand service will deliver hundreds of options every week for people to watch free of charge. So it's like a rotating list of films is what I get out of this. And that's actually kind of cool, but the curated to the tastes of RedBox customers is fascinating to me. And here, let me explain why. Because RedBox right now is traditionally where a lot of the lower budget movies go. You know, you get your tentpole movies, you get your big hits, your blockbusters, so on and so forth. But it's also where a lot of these direct-to-video films go. And that's where people, just out of curiosity, rent them. And so if these are the movies that are going to be on this free ad-supported network, those kind of movies that are going to get picked up by the millions and millions of people who use RedBox every single week, that is actually something that is fascinating, because what it does is it curates it to the niche of your customers. That could be something that is significant. I don't know if it's ever going to get there wholly, but it is something that comes across as being very, very, very significant. Now, this is what they have said here. It's going to feature some movies like Trespass, which is a Nicole Kidman, Nick Cage movie, I think. It's not Trespass from like 93 with Bill Paxton, Ice Cube, and Ice-T, which you should definitely check out if you haven't. But the Nick Cage movie, The Lord of War, is going to be on there, which was actually really solid. Has one of the best opening credit sequences of all time. The Illusionist, Haywire, and Maggie. Now, Haywire was Gina Carano's first theatrical work, her first feature role, I believe, in the Steven Soderbergh film. And the action on it's pretty good. So if you like Gina Carano, Mandalorian love, check that one out. And Maggie is an interesting tale where it's a zombie movie where Abigail Breslin is the daughter to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and she ends up becoming a zombie. I haven't seen it, but I saw the trailer. It looked pretty crazy. But the company says here that the weekly mix will cover fan favorites, cult classics, and popular titles. So let me explain why this is actually a pretty solid idea. We like variety, okay? But we also like things to kind of rotate in and rotate out. And you also need to have a bit of that FOMO going on, that fear of missing out. That is the other side of this, right? So when you have the FOMO happening, that can be something, if marketed correctly, and I always go back to marketing. I said the same thing about Quibi, but Quibi didn't do any marketing. They didn't do anything with anyone. They totally screwed it up. They did. I mean, it was so bad. And RedBox has a built-in audience, unlike Quibi, has a built-in audience of people. So this could be a little bit different, but I'm telling you, if they can market it the right way and everything else, like they could actually really tackle a niche of steady content, revolving content that puts a FOMO on it. And if they can then interact with the online community to build up some kind of thing with that, like I might even dive into that. Weekly discussions about what's going to be on RedBox and like talk about movies that are there that everyone can watch because they're free on demand. Okay. So that's the other aspect of it as well. It creates an environment where people can kind of water cooler that stuff. I think it could be kind of interesting. Now they did say here, this is what the company says. This is how they're pitching it. Today's audiences are fueling an unprecedented demand for premium quality on-demand content that is free with advertising. Well, yeah, no shit. People are unemployed. Let's just be real. We expect to see continued growth in AVOD, making free on demand a significant addition to our free streaming platform. This is coming from Chris Yates, the GM of RedBox On Demand. So right now, you know, like the RedBox itself has been around since 2002. I mean, we're 18 years. That's a long, long, long time. And they've always got revolving content, and you can always, you know, find what you're looking for. They got rid of video games, which pisses me off, to be honest with you. But you know, the thing is, like, well, apparently they've also been doing RedBox free live TV. That's in an ad-supported channel-based video on-demand service in the vein of Pluto or Zumo. Okay. And then they've also got their own channels like RedBox Rush, which is action and adventure, RedBox Comedy, RedBox Spotlight, and some other channels that offer like FilmRise, or is a service that has like unsolved mysteries and forensic files, because who doesn't love watching those? And other things where they've got like, you know, game shows and stuff. So it looks like they're licensing out a lot of content that they might be able to get for a good price. So that should be pretty interesting. Right now, you can get RedBox free on demand on Roku, unlike HBO Max, iOS, Android mobile, TVs, and Vizio. Support for LG, Xbox, Samsung, and Google Chromecast is also expected to be added very soon. So, I mean, right now it's still kind of doing a bit of a soft launch, but this might be something worth checking out. That could be something, it could be interesting. I don't know. That's always something I want to hear your thoughts on. So definitely let me know down in the comment section. All right, real quick, let's talk about Neill Blomkamp shooting a top secret supernatural horror movie during the pandemic. Now, this has me excited because, for one, we haven't seen a Neill Blomkamp feature film since Chappie in 2015. And that movie in and of itself, guys, it was marred. For one, it wasn't a good movie. It had a great concept, but I don't know why he cast the people that he cast in the movie. I didn't think Dev Patel was particularly great. I didn't think that D. Antwoord should have been anywhere near that movie. It just, like, District 9, I just bought on 4K on Black Friday. And I love that movie. And like District 9 was really solid. It was a really, really, really solid movie. Elysium and Chappie both kind of failed, and he went away for a while. But what he's been doing is he's been working on his Oat Studio. And if you haven't seen those short films on YouTube, oh my God, they are good. They are freaky. They are bloody. They are violent. Like, there's like some that use the Unreal Engine in order to make, like, you know, animation. And it's like, the tech that's fueling The Mandalorian is the Unreal Engine. It's a video game engine, and they're using it to create animation and whatnot. Anyway, I could gush about that all the time. So it says here that let's see here. He has, okay, so he teamed up with for a horror movie called Inferno, which is going to star Taylor Kitsch and was going to go in production into 2021. Okay, so what happened was they pushed the filming into 2021. But I guess what he did do is he spent the summer in British Columbia shooting a top secret project in the, what they say, in the wilds of Canada's westernmost province, which is British Columbia. So there's no details on this right now. There's no details. It's that this is from Deadline. The Deadline heard that it's a supernatural horror movie and something the filmmaker has always wanted to make. And apparently there's a strong science fiction and VFX component to the film, and post-production is expected to be completed by next spring. The cast is consisted of primarily Canadian actors, but none of their names have been revealed. So he did, okay, so he pushed Inferno to next year. I'm sorry, I got that part wrong. He pushed Inferno to next year, and then he decided to go and shoot this little supernatural horror film. And I'm really wondering if it's going to be in the vein of the Oats Studio. And if you haven't seen it, go and check out Oats Studio. It's really good. It's free on Netflix or on YouTube. This is the kind of stuff, I'm not kidding you, like Netflix should like license and put up there as far as like the animation stuff goes. And I think short films, like, because these are like 20, 25-minute long short films. Like, some are short, some are long, but they're good. And I really recommend it. Anyway, I could gush about him all the time. I love him. I love him lots. Okay, let's talk here about Ready or Not director's boarding high school horror movie at MGM. So Radio Silence, the team behind 2019's Ready or Not, which is such an amazingly good movie, has announced that they are teaming up with the writers Gary Busick and R. Christopher Murphy for a horror film titled Reunion. So the guys from Radio Silence, Matt Bettinelli-Olpin, Tyler Gillette, and Chad Villela will direct and produce the project based on the screenplay by Busick. And it's also been reported that MGM has acquired the spec script in what was a heated competition. So that, I mean, look, the thing is, like, when you get the heated competition over a screenplay, like, that generally means that, like, it's going to be pretty good. And most likely the way the studios are looking at it is it could be made for a lower-ish budget and pull in a shitload of money. So, like, take Ready or Not, for example. Ready or Not was a movie that cost $6 million, and it grossed about, I think, close to 80, which is a massive return on investment for a horror movie, for any movie. And I'm pretty sure it's done well on the home video market since then because more people have been able to discover it. It's one of those things where I've said this before and I will say this again. Horror movies and Christian films will be what saved the box office in 2021. I'm not even making that up. Movie theaters are going to be, it's like one half horror, one half Christian, until there's a tent pole, because those movies have such diehard audiences that surround them that they will go to literally anything. Look, when Passion of the Christ came out back in 2004, you had, this is true, you had churches taking church buses, loading up their parishioners and going to the movies, like a distance away, it's like far out locations, to watch this movie. They would bus people in to watch Mel Gibson's Jesus Christ snuff film. That's what they would do. That's one of the reasons why that movie made as much money as it did domestically. So yeah, and look at like all the Christian movies of Kevin Sorbo, God's Not Dead, God's Not Dead 2, you know, like whatever it's called, like Electric Boogaloo. And then you have Revenge of the Christ, or I don't know, I'm picking that one up. But those movies make a lot of money and they're very cheap to produce. And there are people out there right now in Hollywood, by the way, this is a quick side thing. There are people out there in Hollywood right now that are making these Christian movies that are not Christian, that are very much atheist or not even of, or maybe a different religion. But they know that there's a grift. They know that there's a grift and they sell to those people and they do it because they know there's money. It's like, you know, look at Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry caters his whole catalog to the African-American demographic, and it's made him a billionaire, you know, and his movies are well received by people from across the cultural spectrum. But the primary demographic was people who liked Medea. You know, Medea effectively bought Tyler Perry a damn island. So, you know what I mean? Like, you have your demographics. But anyway, I digress. Back to the to a Deadline article that's talking about what Reunion is going to be about. So the general synopsis is that Reunion tells of what happens when the horrific experience of high school reunions is taken to a new extreme, when a group of uninspired old friends become the only hope for survival against an unwelcome, shape-shifting creature. Now, that kind of sounds a little bit like, was it the Banshee? Or like the Succubus from VHS, which I think they turned that into a movie too. And the guys from Radio Silence actually did a short for the first VHS, not Succubus, but it was another one, but it kind of feels like that. So that could be something that's interesting, but I guarantee you it's going to be fun. It's going to be violent and it's probably going to be relatively meta. So at this point, yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all game. I want to see what happens with it. So we'll have to wait and see where that goes right there. And then finally tonight, let's talk here about this, about what's been going on with the Spider-Man Trace. Cause again, a lot of craziness, a lot of stuff, a lot of like, what the hell sort of thing. So what we're hearing right now is that, apparently Alfred Molina has been spotted on set of Spider-Man 3. So that's what we know of right now. It's just that the star was confirmed last month on Instagram that shooting for the film had started in Atlanta. So he was also seen on the set. Or sorry, Tom Holland confirmed that they started filming, and the rumor is that Alfred Molina was on the set, and this is even coming from like THR, was a big one today. So I mean, you know, the big boys were talking about it, which means that there's a lot more weight to it, and this is coming off of Jamie Foxx more or less confirming and then deleting on Instagram his post talking about Electro coming back into this one. And now we're hearing rumors that Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst are in talks to come back, that Andrew Garfield and maybe Emma Stone are in talks to come in. Probably not Emma Stone. Let's be fair. You know, she recently got married to someone who wasn't Andrew Garfield, and they were dating after the first Amazing Spider-Man. So probably not Emma Stone. But think about that. I mean, Sony, and this is Jared Leto, you know, just said the other day that Morbius is like going to kind of open up the world a bit more. We're going to open up that side of the Marvel universe. And this feels, see, I'm not like, this is where I'm not a huge fan of this, is because when you think about it, like it's almost like it's too much. And I've been saying this forever. This feels like Avi Arad, something Avi Arad would do at Sony. This feels like something Amy Pascal is forcing on Kevin Feige. But in my honest opinion, that's what I feel. I think Feige is like, look, we want to keep Spider-Man. We know that there's a lot of money in Spider-Man. There's a lot of money in Spider-Man. There's a lot of money in this connected universe that we've built. We've spent all these years and all these movies making it. He is a key, integral part of the deal, and we have to work with them. We have to make them happy. What can we do? What can we do, folks? And it's like Amy Pascal is like, okay, so we want to do the multiverse because we want to establish that because DC's doing it. We've already done it with Into the Spider-Verse, and that won us Best Animated Picture. So there's already precedent for them wanting to do it in the reason why. We need Tom Holland. We need Tobey Maguire. We need Andrew Garfield. We need to have all three Spider-Men together, and then Miles Morales. We got to have all that together, and then bring in villains from the other movies, from the other franchises, and then do this and do this and do this and do this and do this. And it's like, oh my God. I'm sorry. It's too much. It's too much too fast. It really, really, really is. This is not a Kevin Feige production. You can tell this is not a Kevin Feige production. What this is this is flat out going to be something else entirely. Okay. This is not Kevin Feige. Feige is a slow builder. He likes to take time. He likes to get you invested and then give you what you want. This is literally like everything you want all at once. And it feels so out of place for, like, I mean, maybe, I don't know, for a bookend of this particular Spider-Man trilogy, you know, and the rumors have been for a long time that Sony wants Tom Holland to be around for like literally 15 more years. They want to see him go through college, see him go into being an adult, give us a full 9-film Spider-Man arc, which all things considered, man, I'm here for. I love Tom Holland in the role. But this feels like it's too damn much. And it's too damn quick. And the fact that it's been a whole year without Marvel movies, and Marvel's been mum on practically everything. No official casting announcements, really. Everything's been coming out through scoops or through other sources. Some, you know, some confirmations from the big boys like Deadline, Variety, or The Hollywood Reporter. Mikey Sutton nailed this one about Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst from, hell, 8 months ago. And I saw that people like Grace Randolph and Riley Johnson from Fandom Wire and Blandy Andy Signor were trying to take credit for it too. And people were shouting them down like, nope, nope, nope. So that's cool. I like that. I am not going to lie. I like it when people who try to take credit for crap get smacked down. But that's my own personal interjection onto that one. But no, I ain't against Spider-Man 3 in this particular format. All right, guys, I'm not. It's not. But at the same time, it's also not blowing my skirt up. It feels like it's too much. That being said, I have in Feige I trust, and Feige I've always trusted. But I have to ask myself, how much control does he have? And does this kind of situation have anything to do with him taking over too much with like Marvel Television and everything else that's going on right now? Is he juggling too many balls? Is he spinning too many plates? And this particular property, because it's not 100% of under his purview, is being railroaded by people who have taken 2 franchises previously and done things that are just outright confusing, especially Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2, which was really just a vehicle for the Sinister Six. I know Sony wants the Sinister Six. I know Sony wants to delve off into the villain side of things, and I'm all for it. I loved Venom. I really did love Venom. I'm looking forward to Venom 2 and Morbius and all that stuff. But I'm also wondering if they are just so desperate to get into the game that they're going to end up hurting themselves once again. We've already seen this play out with DC and how they tried rushing to the gate and they kind of dropped the ball, and now they're picking up the slack years later. And then also, is Marvel going to end up just kind of being there, like, you know, having to cut Sony loose? Because at some point, this could start dragging down other properties. And Kevin Feige has a lot to deal with now. With the Fox acquisition, Marvel television episodes, potentially producing a Star Wars movie. You know, it's a lot going on. So I'm getting a little bit concerned. That doesn't mean that I'm not excited. That doesn't mean I'm not going to watch it. That doesn't mean I don't want it to exist. I'm just saying, eventually, quality, you know, quantity can hurt quality. And I say this as a YouTuber that puts out a lot of content every single week. So anyway, you know what I mean? There's that. But all right, guys, I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your opinions on this one. Let me know down in the comment section. If you guys enjoyed Hollywood After Dark, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, become a channel member, join the Facebook group. I'm going to ask every day. Now that some of my other obligations are kind of out of the way, I'm going to be able to get to this more often, but it is going to go probably late in the evening. So there's that. All right, everyone, have yourself a great night. I'll talk to you all soon. And remember, peace out.